Hi everyone, Byron White here. I hope everyone is able to hear me. If you can't hear me, I can't really help you, but you will hopefully learn that you can dial in. I'm going to encourage everybody to go ahead and chime in with some using the questions feature. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll try to monitor them on the right side of the screen. We're also recording this, so future editors can listen into this if we like the recording, which we can all be the judge of at the end of it. But I just wanted to really take today to guide people into the actual dashboard, both with writer access, in addition to some other areas, namely Word Vision, a really interesting new technology that we're setting up for editors to work more closely with customers. I can't really poll everyone. I can't listen to everyone, which is kind of one of the funky features for this webinar. I'm just going to be able to talk into it and then field your questions, I think. We can talk offline and/or all connect afterwards somehow to chime in. Matter of fact, after this call, I might have us call into another phone number if we want to still carry on, and a conference call line that we can set up so we can all actually talk with one another, which would be great. But for the purposes of this recording, we're able to use the GoToWebinar technology to actually record this, so that's the goal and objective at this point, is just get this information available for those of the folks that couldn't make it in. So if somebody wants to just make sure that we're on the right track and that everybody's listening in, you can maybe ask a question there and just let me know, are you listening? Is everything good? Can you hear me? Is anybody having problems? I don't see any questions popping up, so I will assume that, oh, look, somebody's chiming in. Thank you very much for that, by the way. Let's just make sure everyone's listening in. Listening, don't forget we have, okay. This is one of my associates is listening in, and hello, listening in here, great, thanks. I think everyone's on board now. So let me begin by sort of talking with everybody about the big picture. I know I've spoken with each of you individually about our strategy, but excuse me, overall, Writer Access has had an incredibly successful year in 2011. We've brought in more than 1,500 customers that have paid for services. Those are not just free sign-ups like some of the other models that are out there. These are people that have actually made a $50 deposit with a commitment to try our model out and try our writers out. Over the many months that we've been working at this and listening to our client wants and needs, we've learned that editorial services are something that they are quite interested in. Excuse me. We wanted to roll out editing services in a different way. Rather than hiring in-house staff and in-house editors, we wanted to push editorial services out to editors like you that we've approved to see if we can create a platform that allows you to work directly with customers, speak with those customers if they need to speak with you about their overall goals, and to hopefully win engagements with customers that will allow you to do an ongoing editing role, have an ongoing editing role with them in creating great content. So the first step was to launch this dashboard that I'm going to show you today. And when you log into your dashboard, you'll see there's a message about today's session. But more importantly, you'll be able to click on the available assignments when that gets rolled out. And that's kind of interesting that just happened. Go back and look at this for a second. I think I know why that happened, but let me go back over here and then go into editors here, and then go into Meredith here, which will bring me back into Meredith, and we'll see that we now have available assignments. We have 51 assignments that are available for review, and I'm going to go and log into them right now, hopefully, and take a look and see what's going on. Let me look at this again. logged into a couple places here, and I think I'm going to have to go out of all of this for 1 second. That's interesting. Try this. I think that'll probably get me to where I want to go. Maybe not. Okay. So let me just, while we're getting this bug out right here, I'll talk with you big picture on this, and we just put this 51 up, which I think is causing a little bit of a bug. So in the left column of your dashboard, you will eventually see a way to see all the available editing assignments in a couple minutes when we fix this. And right now, my technician, Aaron Robinson, who, by the way, you might get to know, when I click on available assignments, Aaron, that does not want to go to its area. I'm not sure why, so maybe you can help me with that. Also, I was logged into the writer access to the Word Vision account, so it might have caused a bug there. Anyway, while Aaron is fixing this, well, thanks for your patience. The good thing about recordings is we're going to fast through this so people won't have to see it again the second time. And again, I apologize for that. So what we created is a workflow here where you're going to be able to go pick up available assignments. You're going to see a column when I eventually show that to you, and the column will suggest what level of editorial service a customer has paid for. And when we look at the editorial column, when we look at that column, you'll see that the editor has signed up for either proofreading services, junior editing services, senior editing services, or content strategy work will be eventually rolled out, and that's one thing I'm going to be talking with you about today. When you perform that service, you are expected to only provide the level of editorial service that the customer has requested. In other words, you as an approved editor can now have access to all kinds of paid editing assignments, some paid more than others. You're also going to see that some of the assignments that pop through are there because they are they're a new customer, and we wanted you, the editors, to have access to the first 3 orders that every customer has popped through the system so you could introduce yourself to them and your editing services. We're going to enable you to display your editing work for all new customers that come through to Writer Access and give you the opportunity to, if you will, earn the right to edit their work. They may or may not in the future choose to hire you, but at least you'll get a ping into them and get a connection with them and provide some really great editorial services for them, hopefully, showing that they can really help you that you can help them with orders. So we have the technology hooked up and rigged up to allow you to do that. The rule in general is that you click on the available assignment, and then you choose to grab that assignment. It will then go into your workflow of orders that you have picked up, orders that you're currently editing. Right now, we don't have a hard, fast rule set that says you have to edit something in 24 hours or you lose that job, but we are going to be putting in a clock here that monitors how many minutes it's taken to pick that up. That's kind of what's going on at that point. So you're going to be allowed to review available orders, and Aaron, by the way, is on my box right now trying to fix all of this. I have a feeling that it's, yeah, there you go. Okay, so there's all the orders. Cool. So, yeah, nice to have a technician at your disposal 24 hours a day. And essentially you kind of do. When you click the help desk, you get through to Aaron, and he usually will come back with a solution to your problem. So feel free to use him as I do all the time. He's the actual person that built this code. He's been with me for about 8 years now. He's an amazing guy and brilliant. So we're going to try to create some very interesting new technology. I'm going to show you a teaser of it later that's going to give everybody some interesting access to new tools here. So the net of it is these are now all available assignments that each of you can scroll through and take a look at. There's a couple screens here of orders. You can see what the max amount is that you can pay. You can get a feel for some of the orders are actually free orders. We're going to be pushing a lot more free orders out as well to give you some introduction to some of these customers. And you'll start seeing some titles on here which will be revealing to you. Some of these customers actually have actual order numbers in the title that will begin to indicate to you that they're probably a client that puts a lot of orders through. They've actually set up a custom order template. You'll also see the writer level that they've selected for the order. You'll see the editor area, the editing areas is the what assignments have they agreed to pay. In this case, all you're seeing on here is proofreading assignments. Remember that historically we've offered proofreading service at our company now for the last year. So most people are trained to sign up for editing services, not the new higher-end editing services. And I'm going to show you how they do that in just a second. It also shows you the number of hours, the age is the number of hours that this order has been outstanding. Most all of the orders will come through within 24 or 48 hours. And whether it's a paid column, yes or no, if it's a paid assignment. And the love is a love list, and whether they've added you, the editor, to a love list or the writer to a love list. So there's some good data that you can see on each orders, and what you end up doing is picking up each orders, just like some of you may or may not be familiar with in the normal writer interface. But you can go in and take a look at the actual order. You can actually see who the writer was on the project. You can go in and look at any specific instructions that have been added in or required keywords. You can actually see, of course, the content and look it over and then choose, hopefully, to work this item, which is this button on the bottom. So by working this item, you're agreeing to perform the proofreading or editing or junior editing, senior editing services for this asset. And when you pick that up, it will get added to your current editing assignment list. And you can then go in and perform those services and perform those edits, and that's, you'll see there's a whole interface down here on where you can do that. What happens when you save this is that you can either save it and come back to it. You can save and approve it, which will push it over to the customer, or you can save your revisions and request revisions from the writer. And that's an important workflow. You, as an editor, have a choice to either save and approve it, which means you're sending it over to the customer, or to save what you've changed, including any instructions or modifications you're recommending, and push it back to the writer. If the piece is so bad and you don't feel it's appropriate to even present it to our customer, you can quickly push it back to the writer. So that's an important aspect of it. And when you're opening all of these orders to begin editing them, a clock starts ticking, and your minutes are recorded. So I'm not sure if Aaron has that up yet, but I'll list that to him so he makes that very clear to everybody that this is tracked by the minute when you're actually editing these pieces. The pending revisions are the orders that you've sent over to your writers with a request to revise it to your new specifications. And when you look at the pending approval, these are the orders that you've submitted over to the writer, over to your client that are pending their approval. And it's showing you the total dollar amount that you can earn from the order. Let me go back to the available assignments for a second. Oh, darn, it doesn't want to go there again. Not sure why. We'll figure that out later. I think it's because I logged in 5 ways. But when you look at those individual orders, here's one of them right here. So basically the orders will show you the maximum amount of the pay, and that's the most that you could make from the order if you consumed all 15 minutes. Because it's usually billed on a minimum 15-minute increment for the order. So and it's billed at the hourly rate, obviously, of $14.34, 50, and 75 per hour, of which you make 70% of that. So we've done all the calculations in there that will add up all your minutes for each of these orders that you've spent at the rate the customer has agreed to, where you're paid 70% of those fees that I just mentioned. So you can also go, obviously, take a look at all the orders that you've approved. You can also go, take a look at all the payoff for all the orders you've approved. And this is pretty simple in here, but the net of it is go take a peek at available assignments. Go look at your grab orders that you want to edit, get them in a queue. We like for you to, Aaron actually put the 24 and the 72-hour clock up on here on how much time has been aged. And he just popped that up literally 2 seconds ago. So we're sort of fixing this a little bit and tweaking it a little bit. And we've taken a complicated writer workflow that we've worked on for a year and sort of modified it into this editing area. So overall, that's sort of where we're going and what we're doing. You can see some of your other stuff in here as well that you can find on your dashboard and in your column. So overall, this is a pretty basic overview. And we're going to be setting everyone's current level right now to junior editor just to get everybody access to the orders that have popped up. So in your particular website, in your admin area, login area, you probably at this moment in history will not see available assignments in there at this moment. Instead, you won't see that until right after this session. Today we're launching our editor test, which is really hard, by the way, but we're excited about it. We're proud of it, and this test will help us. First of all, see where all of you stand with the scoring. There's 170 multiple choice points that you earn for each of the tests. I believe there's only about 40 questions, but only some of them are multiple choice. Others are actual editorial examples. And the editorial examples you put together are subjectively scored. So we're trying to figure out a way to get this data assembled in a way that enables you to not only have a good test, but to us to pop in the scores for the test and then to post all those test results so everybody can see where you stand with everybody else. That's a feature that we don't have available for writers right now. Everybody always asks us, how did I do compared to everyone else? So we're just rolling that out today. We've been working hard on it for about a week now. Just in the technology implementation of it, it's really was quite a bear to put together. But the net of it is we're excited about it, and that will give us a base point from which to bring in a great group of editors that can help pick these projects up. And I want to encourage everybody to go in and start editing. There's 52 projects in there right now to edit. We're really trying to ramp things up here as quickly as we can, particularly with customers opting for this new editorial service and beginning to interact with customers. So we're excited about it. That's a quick overview of the back end. It was actually a terrible job. I apologize. Sorry about the tech blunder there, but that's sort of it. So if you have any questions about the back end, I'm happy to entertain them. Just use your question area to ask me any questions you may have. If you don't have any questions, that's okay too. I'm going to show you some other stuff that should help you learn a little bit more about what we're doing. So I'm looking for any questions right now that anybody may have. I'm not seeing any. So I assume everybody's good to go and doesn't have any questions. Either that or you've left the webinar. Hopefully not. But let me log out of this for a second, and I want to show you. Let me see here. At what point do we log in to see if we are set up? Immediately after this call, or wait a while? Thank you, Susan. You will be able to log on right now to see, to log in to see things. And right after this call, you will be able to go in and log in and look at the available assignments. which we are going to set up immediately after this call. So give us just a few minutes. We have to go set everybody at a junior editing level, which of course could change when we get the editorial test up and rolling. But at least it will allow everybody to go in and pick up these, just to try the technology out, pick up the editing assignments that are there. Most all of them are paid that are there. There's only a few in there right this second that aren't paid. But Aaron's going to go turn the floodgate on so every new customer, the first 3 orders for every new customer, we're going to give you, the editorial team, a chance to pick those up and edit those, even though there's no money for those. We're going to limit to only 3 per customer, so you won't see orders in there that are quote free that are for everybody on the platform. But we just felt like it was a good opportunity to give you guys a chance to do some editing and to showcase your work. So that's how we set that up. Where do we find the editor tests? They will be in your admin area. I would look for that probably tomorrow. I would feel safe about that going up. Aaron thinks it might be tonight. But I'd say by tomorrow it should be hooked up, and we should have tested it by then to make sure everything's working smoothly. So thanks for that question as well. Let's see, here's another good question. When do you expect there to be a lot more client work coming in? If there's X amount of editors, I wonder if there will be enough work. And thank you for that question. I have the same question that you have. Here's what we're doing to roll this out. So we're basically going to be sending messages to all of our existing customers, introducing them to this new service. And there's, frankly, a lot more than just this editing option that we're going to be rolling out to all of our existing customers, and I'm going to show you that in a second. So the net of it is we hope to gain momentum on this. I've purposely chosen to limit the number of editors that we bring on board at this point. I have no idea what the workflow will be like with regards to the editing roles that we will have for folks. But what I do know is that we've done a lot of editing ourselves internally here that we are going to be completely outsourcing now. So we're trying to get orders to you as quickly as possible. We're trying to market this service to our customers as quickly as possible. And we have some other really cool things in mind that I'm going to show you in a second. So let's go to some other questions here. If we're all going in at a junior level, do we ignore the email that says we're at star level X? Star levels are for writers, and editors have a different series of rankings and ratings. So you will continue your writer access star level. If you're a writer at writer access, that's fine. We have a lot of folks on the call here. There are about 11 people on the call, by the way, which is most all of our folks. Thank you for making it in today. I wanted a really small group of about 10 people that we invited into this editorial opportunity to sort of test the waters and to see what kind of traction we could get. So that's sort of where we are. So hopefully that answers your question. There basically is, yeah, your star level will be very different. So we're putting everybody at one notch above junior editing. Right now we only have proofreading orders in the system because we really, like I said, have not rolled this out to our customers, and we're going to be doing that. So we do have strategies. We want to get your profiles, all in the system because, again, as of this moment right now, your profiles are not listed for customers. They can't see who you are, and that will be true until after this call, in which case all of your profiles will actually go up. So, it's really a wild card. I don't know if people have their own in-house editors that need to look over the work or if they view this as a great opportunity. I know we've brought in a lot of larger orders lately where companies really would benefit greatly from someone taking a second look at the work. So we'll see how it goes. That's all we can really say at this point. Okay, let's see. Another question came through. I'm still a little unclear on the payment structure. How do clients decide how much they'll pay for, say, they'll pay of the, say, $1.75 that they have allocated? It is all up to determine how long it takes to edit to approve a piece. Yes, so you're on the right track there. What happens is a customer agrees to number one, an hourly rate, and therefore the level of service that they want. Number two, the customer can put in an amount of time not to exceed for that asset. In other words, a cost maximum not to exceed. So that is in fact the case of how the customer. I'm actually going to show that to you if I can get into that, so you can sort of get a feel for that. But the net of it is the customer's really sort of saying, okay, I'm going to pay for editing service, and I'm going to limit the number of hours that I want an editor to work for me, or I'm going to limit the amount of time on a per asset basis that I want an editor to work for me. So they're able to do that and to establish maximum amounts they'd be willing to pay for the editing that they're going to be doing. So that is hopefully explains to you how a customer can work. Now, the other thing to mention in all of this is that the editing service we're providing is not necessarily always about the per asset and the metered time. Instead, a customer can allocate 10 hours a month to you for editing, or for topic map creation or other sort of assignments that they want you to do that are not tied to particular assets. So we're basically trying to sell managed service and editorial, managing editorial services, proofreading, junior editing, senior editing, as well as content strategy work. Again, something I'm going to get to in a minute with everybody. But so hopefully that answers your question. We're just here to try to facilitate a customer getting more than just writing services from Writer Access. So we'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting, that's for sure. And we tried to make it simple by having 4 different hourly rates and making customers feel comfortable that they can cap the amount of money that they allocate towards the service to try it out. So hopefully it'll work well, and we'll make it work. Is fact-checking part of the junior editor process? Go take a look at, a great question, by the way. We've tried to do a pretty good job of defining what the variations are for the services. I won't take your time right now to go over that, but I spent a lot of time writing those up and want you to study them and take a look at them because clients are looking at those services. If I were to answer that specific question, I don't think fact-checking would be part of junior editing service, but I think that fact-checking would be part of the senior editing service, and therefore worth a higher bounty from $1 an hourly rate perspective. But again, you, the editor, need to make those decisions on how important it is. I think that's a good conversation for you to have with a prospect customer we hope to set up with you that says, hey, would you like me to do fact-checking? Do you want me to figure that in? Do you want me to spot check it? Do you want me to do it on every order? This is another good example where you, the editor, need to communicate directly with a customer, and we've built that methodology into the system that allows you to converse with customers and ask them questions about the work. Of course, explaining to them, hey, I'm editing your project. I know you didn't pay for it, but do you want me to do any fact-checking in the future? I can do that. I didn't do that this time around. We want you to be communicating with customers, and that should be your role, whether it be a new customer or an existing customer. So hopefully that answered your question there. Let's go back up here and see what else has chimed in. I don't think anybody has any other questions, at least so far. Let me show you some other stuff that'll be fun for you to take a look at and give you a vision, no pun intended, on our vision for how we want to work in the future with editors and content strategists and folks like you. So this is a very, very powerful piece of technology and software that we built that we have probably about 100 customers using this right now. And most of these customers using this software were working with us in a capacity that was full service content, creation, optimization, distribution, basically full service content marketing, agency type work. For many years, really the last 2 or 3 years, that was the focus of our business. We decided, as I mentioned to most all of you individually, that we really wanted to get out of that business, and we wanted to instead be in the software business, for many reasons, the biggest of which is it's a much more scalable business. We become a neutral person in the middle. If a customer is happy with the service, great. If they're getting an ROI from their investment in writer access, fantastic. If they're getting the quality content they need, that's great. If not, great. Fire us and fire the writers and try new writers or whatever the case may be. We've also worked hard on this technology. It's called WordVision. And WordVision is a software that basically tracks the impact and the ROI of content you publish on your website. This happens to be our Idea Launch account that we're logged into. And we can see that in early 2011, we started really ramping up the total content assets we were publishing on our website. And then that sort of went on a steady decline. We kind of fell asleep at the wheel over at Idea Launch. And as a result of that, in the beginning, by February or March and April, just as this content was beginning to land on our website and getting picked up in the search engines, we radically increased the amount of organic traffic coming to our website, and lots of good things started to happen. Likewise, you can see, we ramped up our traffic in the first 3 or 4 months of the year, but we stopped publishing content, and that went down. We started publishing some content towards the end of the year. And the number of unique visitors coming to our sites has kind of bounced around, almost directly correlated with the amount of content we've started publishing again on our website. So, this is a really good barometer overall for how a website is performing in the search engines, and what kind of lift you're getting, from content that you're publishing on your domain name. And there are lots of reports in here that customers can see to sort of see how they're doing versus their competition. This is a market share report that's kind of fun. It shows how green is good, blue is bad. It shows how we're doing versus our competition. We can also look at lots of other reports on here, like a keyword silo report. This technology is very robust. It requires a lot of setup, which is a story in itself, and we're trying to figure out how can we help customers set up this technology, what do we charge for this, who do we want using this technology. These are all questions that we've been asking ourselves for quite some time now, like several years, to try to figure out what to do with all of this and who would use it and how we could tie it into writer access. So I showed you market share reports, silo reports. There's also performance reports that customers look at. They can see not only how content is performing in the search engines, but they can see all kinds of cool stuff, like how content is performing in each individual keyword silo. So how many content assets did I publish in the optimization content silo? I published quite a few in March and April, and sure enough, in April and May, that had a big impact on listing positions improving. So that's kind of fun and helpful for customers to tune into. Let's see here. Yeah, this is interesting. There we go. So let's go back up here. We also have traffic reports. Well, we have market share reports as well. We have traffic reports that we can quickly access. Try that again. So this is the similar methodology where we show how many content assets have been published in a particular domain name or a keyword silo, and then we can go in and quickly look at the impact of how much additional traffic came to the site for the keywords that are featured in the silo. So lots of fun stuff going on here with WordVision. And what we were trying to work on is how could you, a content strategist or somebody that's qualified to help customers with strategy, how could we create a tool that you could use and have a great role in content creation and content strategy with customers. So just a short period of time ago, like literally within the last month or so, literally within the last couple of weeks to be honest, we rolled out this editorial calendar. And the editorial calendar will, we think, provide an opportunity for you to to create and recommend topic ideas for customers to go in and look at and approve, and to begin building for them an editorial calendar for the upcoming month, and having them go in and look at this calendar and say, and look things over, open up the general articles that you think that they should be writing about, and in general sort of approve each of these by popping in a date right here saying, okay, I'm going to approve this today. Let's get this let's get this in production. So you're putting in the title of the order of the content asset you want created, maybe a description of what that writer would create. And what you're also doing with this wonderful technology we built is actually going into one of the keyword silos that's been set up and grabbing some of those keywords and choosing to use those keywords that we know have already been tagged as important for the customer, grabbing some of those keywords and dropping it into the requirement for that particular article that you want created. And what you'll be able to do in the end of the day is to not only save this and let a customer look over all of this and let a customer sort of get involved in this workflow, but you'll be actually pushing orders into Writer Access. There'll be a button on the bottom here that just says, send this to my love list at Writer Access, or a particular writer from my love list that I want this to go to, or from the customer's love list. So what will happen here is the customer will have a WordVision account. But what they'll do is they'll add you, the editor, to your group of users. So you'll be able to log in to this account and use the editorial calendar as part of your role. And you'll be able to look at the very statistics and data that they're seeing on how their silos are performing and how their website is performing in the search engines. So you can help them build content strategy in looking at the actual data. And we think that that will be a real eye-opener for both you and customers to get you in tune with what their goals and objectives are from a content strategy perspective. So we're a little bit in the early stages of all of this. WordVision is a very powerful tool. What it also enables you to do is to score content for SEO strength according to keyword silos that you can see there. Pretty cool. What it also does is when you order any content, you can it looks at this. It actually scores the content and archives the content, and that's what we'll be facilitating as we push content back and forth to Writer Access from the editorial calendars at WordVision, and then after it's approved at Writer Access, back into WordVision, so we can start showing a customer exactly how many content assets we've created this month, how many were actually published on their website, and what was the impact of that content that we published. So you'll have some pretty remarkable tools here in the end of the day that we think will be valuable for customers, valuable for writers, will give value for editors, and we'll really be able to show customers the vision of where we're trying to go and how we're trying to truly help them grow their business by increasing their organic traffic and to their website. So this is kind of where we're going. I just wanted to introduce this to everybody today, gingerly, with a hope that you like what you see, you like the opportunity to help us be a better company, you like the vision of where we're trying to go, And overall, that was the goal and objective today. So some folks may have some questions about Word Vision, which I'd be happy to field now. If you want to just type them into your system, I'll read them along. I think the net of it is we're going to try to put together a more robust training course for Word Vision, probably in February. We're going to take January to just have you get to know the editorial role and functions, see how much business we can muster up. We'll be communicating, as I mentioned, with all of the customers. And then in February, we'll roll out a more hands-on training for writer access and make that top of mind for everybody, and actually roll out Word Vision to the writer access customers. And Word Vision actually is really interesting. There's a free version of Word Vision that customers will all have access to. It'll manage and handle up to 500 keywords, tracking the listing positions each month of all of those keywords. Here, I'll show you how that works. But what Word Vision does is it tracks the pay-per-click price, the search volume, and the Google listing positions each month for all of the keywords that they have loaded into the system. So right now on Word Vision, you can get a free version of this yourself and play with it and try it out and actually load in up to 500 keywords free of charge that Word Vision will track for you. So you guys should all feel free to open up a free version of Word Vision yourself, try it on your own websites, see how you like it. By mid-January, you'll actually have a plug-in to Writer Access. We're putting together a couple of training videos on all this fun stuff that I'm talking with you about, so you'll have some nice access to a great resource. And we do think that this could be really big. It could be innovative. And what we're trying to do is to offer the tools and the training and the resources to take editorial skill set like all of you have and quickly advance that to a content strategy level with some great tools like we're seeing here. So let's see. We have a good question. Thanks for that. How do we access Word Vision? Do we sign up for the free trial, or is that included with the editor account? Go ahead and sign up for the free trial on whatever domain name you want to, and you'll be able to check that out. Let's see. We've got another good question here. I have an editing workflow question. Is all the editing done through the website? And if so, are changes automatically tracked, as in Microsoft Word, so that the writer can easily view the edits that have been made? Yes, great question. So what the engine does for us right now is it does track all of the editorial revisions that you make on all of the content assets that you've created. And the customer can see that, the writer can see that, so you will be trackable with regards to the improvements you're making on the assets. And this was particularly important to us to build that workflow into the system because we want customers to see, and that we want you to be able to justify your skill and your savvy and your price. So let's see. Back to writers versus editors. How do we toggle between the two dashboards? Excellent question there. You are required to use a separate email for your editor interface versus your writer interface. So I think by default, you had to use a separate new email address. You could not sign up to become an editor without a new email address, which kind of was buzzkill, by the way. But we had to have a way to exclude writers that had not been approved for editors. I'm sure you can understand the reason we had to do that. So 2 email addresses is the answer to that question. Does anybody have any other questions? Let's make sure I didn't miss any. So I bet somebody's writing one right now as we speak, or maybe not. But overall, I would throw it out to any more questions. Oh, here we go. Can we change our default email address on our profile? Yes. In both of your login areas, there's a way to change your email address. It just can't conflict with one of the. You can't try to use one email that you've used with one of your other logins. It will reject you. If you want to have a new email address for either of your accounts, you can easily do that, but it has to be one that's not in the system already. Any other questions? Not so far. Not so far. Well, I am tempted. I have so enjoyed my individual one-on-one conversation. Oh, here's one. I was going to say I've so enjoyed the one-on-one conversations I had with each of you. I want to thank you for your time there. And my goal is to kind of connect this community a little bit. And we're going to try to figure out a way to do that. I used to do that years ago when I first started Life Tips by inviting all of the writers at Writer Access to jump on a conference call with me just to learn how things were going and what was getting updated. And I have a feeling I'm probably going to do that with this group as well, particularly given that we're a small group and we can interact a little bit better together and learn more from one another as we converse. So look for an announcement to get everybody on the phone just for a 15 to 30-minute phone call conversation to really answer questions and point out flaws and problems and challenges, and we just want to have a chance to listen in and learn how you think we can improve things. So, so somebody has a question that is, let's talk afterwards about something about accounts and deactivating and blah, 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 blah. So let's take that one offline. Thank you for that. I'm happy to do that. Just reach out to me. Everyone has my email. You certainly should if you don't, but it's byron@idealaunch.com. That's probably the best place to reach me. And I'm really pretty excited about some pretty amazing stuff that we're launching to customers. We're looking over our 2012 marketing strategy now, and we're going to be mailing these really interesting kits out to people that are fairly revolutionary and as far as collateral is concerned, and introduce them to all of these services that we have going on over here at Idea Launch. I haven't even talked about one of the services we're about to launch at Idea Launch. It's a revamp of lifetips.com, and we've done some new stuff with LifeTips, which is building out some self-publishing software that allows you to publish a physical on-demand printed book and to also market yourself to 1.4 million unique visitors. If you're a business owner or a writer or an editor, you're going to be able to just pay a $500 fee for this service and access our robust technology that will physically publish a book for you and make it available at every major bookstore worldwide with an ISBN number and your name on that ISBN, registered to the Library of Congress, with exposure to our bookstore and to our customers and answering their questions and feeding your tweets and your posts from your blog on the LifeTips platform to help you get new followers and new fans. It's a really cool model that we're rolling out that I'll be excited to talk with you about in the future. How long can an order be held in our queue? That's an editor queue. Thanks for that question. So I was just talking about that with Aaron. So the good news is you can grab something and hold it as long as you want. The bad news is we don't shut that off. We don't have a valve on that will take that order away from you. So what we're trying to do is to have you pull orders out and get them done in 24 hours from pulling them out. But I'm very nervous about that because customers are very anxious to get their content. And you know, when the writer has completed it, the customer is going to know that. And if the assets are being held up in your queue, I think we're going to have some problems. So they're going to get upset with us, and you know, I think that's going to be a problem. So right now we're sort of putting this clock on it that showcases how much time you've had the editing order out. You know, we're going to try to crack the whip on you, and we have a dashboard that can see how long these are sitting in editors' hands. You know, we're just going to have to play that one by ear and see if we want to modify our technology to have a curfew of how long you can hold something before you edit it. The customer can also take it away from you. If you've held something for too long, they can bypass the editing queue. So that will be both interesting and probably frustrating for you. You'll grab an asset, you'll go and edit it the next day, and the customer's like, I don't have time for this. So we have to figure that out and figure that into our workflow. Particularly, I don't think that's going to happen with the customers that are actually recommended and have paid for the service. But I did want to point that out to you, that there will be some things we'll need your feedback on to see how we can perfect the system without massive re-engineering of the platform. So without further ado, I really appreciate everybody listening in to this call. If you have any more questions, I'm here to answer them. But hopefully this was informational and educational. I'd love your feedback, by the way. I'm reachable on Twitter at Byron White. It's my Twitter handle. Feel free to reach out to me there. Most of my webinars I do, by the way, I think you probably know by now, I run a monthly content marketing webinar where I invite industry leaders in. You folks will all be getting invitations to that. We try to be as educational, as resourceful as we can. I've sort of hand-selected all of you after a lot of applications we went through, because I am excited for all of you to start blogging. And we're going to try to figure out a way that we can get you contributing to the Idea Launch blog, actually. I sort of view all of you on the phone here as, if not, certified content strategist on today's date, and seeing the vision where I'm trying to get all of us. I really think that we need a posse, a team here of content strategists that are posting on the Idea Launch blog, that are thought leaders, that are promoted as one of the content strategists available for services on Writer Access. So we're going to try to get all of you excited and motivated to blog and to contribute to the Idea Launch blog. I think that's where your talent should go. Our freelance writers right now are all contributing to the Writer Access blog, which I think is great. And I think that you could maybe find opportunity to make some posts over there at Writer Access. That would make sense. But I'm also excited to see if we can bring more energy and more creativity and more thought leadership to Idea Launch, which is where many of you are going to hopefully find opportunity in the future. So without further ado, or being repetitive about something I already said 5 times to you already, apologize if that's the case, but thanks for listening in, everybody. I think this call is hopefully been educational and informational for you, and gives you a feel for where we want to go, with some hope that we can get there together. So thanks for listening in. Without further ado, we'll now end this recording. We'll look forward to the next. At the end of this call, as mentioned, we will be turning on your status to go grab some orders, and grab a few and test the service out, see what your thoughts are, see if you get any problems. Please use the help desk interface to send Erin any direct bugs or fixes that you want to see fixed. We will look forward to your feedback. And thanks again, everybody, for listening in. Give us about 5 or 10 minutes at the end of this call to get you set up to look at some of those 51 orders that are coming in. And we'll blast through those, and then we'll be giving you more orders when we open it up a little bit more for the first 3 orders for new customers and new writers to come through the engine as well. And I don't think I missed anything. One thing that comes to mind is that as an editor, you can rate a writer's work. There's a rating scale on there. That will become very important to us to have you use that rating scale, because we're using your feedback about editors to actually help the algorithm score their work and make sure that the best writers are surfacing to the top of the funnel. So look for that as well when you go into to edit an order, and hopefully you'll see that quite clearly. So I don't see any more questions, so without further ado, thanks for tuning in. Happy holidays to everyone. Thanks for taking the time this week, particularly before the holiday rush, to listen into this webinar. And for future editors, we'll welcome you on board as well. Thanks very much for listening. Until we chat again, thanks. Bye-bye.